Before we start the first exercise, let's discuss three concepts. 1, 3 ways to memorize. 2, how we perceive the world. 3, how we grow the brain. Let's start with 3 ways to memorize. First, we store memory in visual snapshots. Visual learners memorize by watching and reading, describing a vacation with words like the colors of the sunset and sparkles shining on the beach. They often say things like, "I see what you mean." Second, we store memory in auditory sound bites. Auditory learners memorize by talking and listening, describing the sound of the waves and the seagulls, "Kawa," and they often say things like, "I hear you." Third, we store memory with muscle movements. Muscle learners memorize hands-on by touching, describing the feeling of the sand between the toes and the ocean mist hitting their face. And they often say things like, "I feel what you're saying." Therefore, 3 goals of training are: 1, enhance your 3 forms of memory. 2, develop the ability to see, hear, and move simultaneously. 3, to think even better under stress. Now, we've discussed 3 ways to memorize. Let's discuss how we perceive the world. Everything we see, hear, or touch happens in the brain. Sensory input converts the energy, travels to the visual cortex, creates a mental picture of the world, giving us an electrical replica of reality. To know if it's really real, we have to touch the world. So there's a problem with relying on visual memory only, because energy can get skewed, altering our perception of reality, sometimes appearing snowy or hazy or vibrating, and in some cases letters flying off the page. Also, it can appear too large or too small, distorted, out of place, missing details, and sometimes reversed. And people can experience blackouts and brownouts and bright and dims and flickering lights and dyslexia and ADD and etc., making life frustrating. Therefore, 3 more goals of training include: 1, work out the skews in your thinking. 2, overcome mental blurs. 3, enhance your visual potential. Now that we've discussed 3 ways to memorize and how we perceive the world, let's discuss how we grow the brain. The process of growing the brain starts with muscle movements, creating spurts of energy, energizing neurons in the brain, preparing them for connecting. So muscle movements are like a battery for the brain, per se, providing energy for the brain to grow. And when people saturate their memory, no wonder they fidget with their hands and they wiggle their feet. Also, muscle movements convert short-term memory into long-term memory, preparing memory to consolidate during rest. And the secret to our success is a triple crossover movement, crossing 3 hemispheres of the body: the front and back, the top and bottom, and the left and right. And when you combine crossover movements with visual stimulus along with auditory stimulus and bring them all together into one point of time, a robust energy surge takes place and the brain begins to grow. Even though this appears simple, it's extremely challenging for many. Therefore, 3 more goals of training include: 1, mastering your triple crossover movements. 2, stimulating your brain to grow. And 3, expanding your whole brain potential. Now we've discussed 3 ways to store memory, the mental picture process, and how we grow the brain. So let's start the first exercise.